I'm Jonah Comstock, Editor-in-Chief of Pharmaphorum. We're on day 2 of ASCO, and I'm joined by Johanna Bendell at Pfizer, and your title is Global Chief Development Officer?
Chief Development Officer for Oncology.
Chief Development Officer for Oncology. So we were just talking, and this year you guys have several abstracts. It's more of a impact over quantity year for you. I want to talk in particular about Crown and Tilapro, and then maybe we can just touch on Breakwater.
Sure, absolutely. We're so proud this year to have 3 major presentations at ASCO with 3 simultaneous publications in the Annals of Oncology and the New England Journal of Medicine. So super exciting for patients, super exciting for Pfizer.
So what do you think is the biggest news from Pfizer?
So I think concentrating on these 3 major abstracts, I think the first is Crown, which is the 7-year follow-up progression-free survival for lorlatinib for patients as first-line therapy with ALK-positive metastatic or advanced non-small cell lung cancer. And what we're really excited about is we've seen benefit in previous presentations of lorlatinib before in terms of survivals for patients, progression-free survivals for patients, but now at 7 years, we saw a landmark progression-free survival of 55% at 7 years, which is just incredible.
So the 7 years is even better than the previous one you see here.
Well,
compared to other 7-year
compared to others that we could think about, but what we'd really like to see is that we saw a flattening of the curve. So even compared to our 5-year data, there's been very minimal change in the percent progression-free survival, which shows that the impact is lasting. And what's even more exciting is that for patients who have brain metastases or intracranial metastases, which are so devastating to the patients and the families, what we see is that after 30 months, we've seen no new incidence of intracranial metastases for patients with this which is super exciting.
So this will just give oncologists a lot more sort of peace of mind when prescribing this, because they have more security about the long-term effects.
Yes, and we haven't even reached survival yet. And so for overall survival, we reached that endpoint, which shows that patients, thank goodness, not good, are continuing to benefit.
So then tell me a little bit about the Tilapro.
Yeah, so this morning we did our press release on the Tilapro 3 data. So this was taking the combination of talazoparib plus Xtandi for patients with castrate-resistant prostate cancer, so metastatic castrate-resistant prostate cancer who have HRR mutations. And so what we saw is if we bring talazoparib plus Xtandi into an earlier line of treatment for these patients, we still saw a benefit in radiographic progression-free survival. We saw a 52% reduction in risk of progression or death for these patients, which is extremely significant, which we're very excited for. And we also showed that whether or not you have a BRCA mutation or a non-BRCA mutation, you still saw a benefit. So the 3-year radiographic progression-free survival for the BRCA mutation patients was 0.37, and the 3-year progression-free survival for patients with non-BRCA, the hazard ratio was 0.57. So even if you're a non-BRCA mutation, you still receive benefit. So what we're excited about is that this shows the importance of testing early, identifying patients who would be candidates for a specific personalized therapy early, and that we can continue to make this impact across the patient population. So we're happy with that outcome.
So that's 2 out of the 3. And then tell me about Breakwater.
So Breakwater, I have to say, is very close to my heart because before I joined Pfizer, I was a GI oncologist. So I treated a lot of patients with BRAF-mutated colorectal cancer. And for patients with BRAF-mutated colorectal cancer who have metastatic or advanced disease, this is a really poor prognosis. These patients can get very sick very quickly. And so with the Breakwater study, we showed that a combination of Raftovi plus cetuximab plus chemotherapy presented data from our FOLFIRI cohort can actually show a benefit in response rate, and progression-free survival for patients. And so we actually received FDA approval earlier this year for Braftovi, cetuximab, and with a fluorouracil-based chemotherapy. Shows that you could choose between FOLFOX, in theory, whichever is more appropriate for the patient. We still see that benefit from adding Braftovi and cetuximab for these patients.
So overall, you've got a lot of presentations that show sort of your existing treatments that are already approved, that are in the market. They're either more data confidence or earlier line, or so this is really kind of like it's additive data to your existing portfolio.
And showing that we can, I hope, have even more impact for the patients. And I think the other word that we're trying to get out as Pfizer is the importance of testing patients early. Get the genetic profiles, get the biomarker profiles, so we can identify which patients need specific treatment for them, and that the patients who would receive potentially the most benefit from these targeted treatments. And so if we're able to identify those with patients, then we can have that greater impact on their quality of life, on their survival, and how cancer is treated.
Great, yeah, I'm hearing a lot about that at this show. Real quick, one more trend that you're hearing since you've been here, that's something you're keeping an eye out for. Yeah.
I think what I'm very excited about in the future is artificial intelligence. I am so excited about the prospect of using artificial intelligence and helping us develop drugs more efficiently, potentially hitting targets better, using artificial intelligence to help with patient care, and making sure that we help patients faster who potentially are having side effects, help identify which patients are appropriate for one treatment. How do we think about the next generation of treatments that are coming? So I think that this potential influx of artificial intelligence would change how we are thinking about treating patients with cancer.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Johanna. Really
Thank
great
you
to
so
chat with you.
much. Thanks. Have a great rest of your ASCO.